This is AirGunsNirvana with a detailed look at one of my custom Crosman air guns. In the immortal words of Jane Cobb, it is my very favorite gun. So this particular air gun started life as a Crosman 1377 that I had originally modified into a 2289. So added a TKO muzzle brake, a 14-inch barrel that I recrowned, added a steel barrel band, modified the plastic barrel support, kept it, got a 22 steel breech, modified the 22 brass bolt, take the steel bolt handle, added a flat top piston, I flat topped the valve, and for quite a while I was really happy with the 2289 backpacker style setup. I have a couple of them that are like that, but I've always wanted something that I consider to be a more traditional carbine. So I was wondering if I could make that happen. So I decided to order from Crosman a wooden stock that fits the Benjamin Discovery. Also ordered a trigger group assembly that works on the Benjamin Discovery as well as the 2260 style air guns. I had hoped to be able to come up with a style of jig to be able to set the stock in the jig and consistently make the necessary cuts. For example, need to cut out the gauge port that normally goes here. I needed to cut the front bit of the stock off. It would have ended up looking much better if I had a jig that would index where the holes would be necessary to drill for the pins for the pump handle, as well as making a correct trough to the correct depth and centered and everything. But this type of woodwork is just not in my skill set. As you can tell, that doesn't line up. It's not exactly the prettiest setup, but it certainly is my favorite air gun. Also, I needed to drill a hole here in the back for a screw to go through so that it holds the stock in the normal location as well as here in the back for a really good rock solid platform. As the screw comes up through the stock, I needed to add a plastic shim to shim in between the stock and the plastic trigger group. So when the screw is tightened up, it snugs up against the stock. When I'm pumping it, there's no wobble. Everything's good and tight. Also needed to add an extended plug here at the end so that I could have a heavier and longer hammer spring. I can dump 20 plus pumps from the gun, although I don't use it that many pumps all that often. Generally speaking, I pump it up about 12-13 times. That gets me right in the sub 12 foot-pound range, 612 feet per second. That is certainly enough foot-pounds of energy to dispatch anything small game-wise within 35-40 yards. Rabbit, squirrel, dove, pigeon, sparrows, you name it, this particular air gun has dispatched it. Also, since it's a multi-pump, 2-3 pumps sitting in the house for good, quiet target practice. Also with this setup, there's a what's known as a 2-screw mod that I performed to the 2260 trigger group that allows for consistent sear engagement and a really light, consistent trigger pull. Of course, I polished the hammer as always, added my a heavier hammer pin to work with the heavier hammer spring. This particular brass trigger assembly here is from Bryan Associates, but all things considered, as a proof of concept, I think it turned out really nice. Like I said, I wanted a carbine. I liked the feel of more traditional feel, I should say, on shouldering the rifle in this format. When I first put this together a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, I posted some build details on it on the Green forum on the internet, and quite a few of the guys there had let me know and informed me that while although this is kind of unique, this has been done before. There were some guys that worked for Crosman Corporation in Canada back in the mid to late 60s, and what they did is they took the equivalent multi-pump pistol of the time and added a rifle trigger group and a rifle stock that made basically this exact same setup, and was sold for quite a few years apparently under the designation of Canada Boy or Canadian Boy was a designation on that. And eventually it went from a fine steel and wooden carbine into this, the plastic 760 backyard plinker that kids know all over the world. Well, although as a starting out air gun, there's nothing wrong with this particular style air gun, I've always wanted a small carbine that was steel and wood and wasn't 2.5 or 3 feet long. I wanted something small and compact. So for any of those that had ever wondered, gee, I wonder if I could make a small multi-pump carbine out of parts I have, the answer is yes, you can. Well, although, like I said, she's not pretty because I'm not very good at this woodworking aspect of stuff, it certainly works. And like I said, it is my very favorite gun. I really like it a lot. I hope you've enjoyed the information that was given. Please feel free to post questions and comments. I'll do my best to answer any question I can. Thank you and have a good day.